now officially. All right, it's day 4. Let's just start with day 4 by talking about where we've been all week and who you've met, and hopefully kind of some of the breakthroughs that we were hoping that you would have during this week in this 5-day challenge. So on Monday, we opened it up with Deborah Boblet and Susie Pinkard, and both of those incredible women are retired corporate executives that have launched into a second career when most of their coworkers and peers sit back and just go off and play golf. And so both of them came to us shortly after retirement with no idea on what their business might be, what their book might be about. Well, Susie had an idea. She knew she wanted her book about the poem that had steered her whole life, the poem If, which is a poem that's in public domain. But Deborah was like, look, I just have a passion for coaching people and I want to know how to do this. So we help both of them understand how books and business go together, how to package their ideas, and also how to package their offers and their services. So I think one of the great takeaways that came out that was meaningful to a lot of people was, Susie said that she spent the first year with her book, just like she's been out there with it, just learning what resonates with people. And she's in no great hurry with her book. And so that was Susie's experience. Deborah's been all in. She's been doing book launch parties and speaking very consistently. And Deborah's book was Bold Mission. And so both of them then helped us explore this topic of how do you find your bold mission? Like, what is it that you're passionate about and what do you want to do? So that was the Monday challenge. On Tuesday, we met Tammy Fellows, and Tammy is at the very early stages of planning her book. And so we talked about the mental transformation and the inner journey that you go on, and how do you use maybe trauma from your life, and how did that impact what you're passionate about today? And then Tammy has her podcast that she referenced, which is Tammy Tuesday. And we are using all of her stories and her podcast and experience. And we're just now working together to shape what will her book be about? What will her message, like what's her framework, her process to help other people go achieve what she's learned to achieve in the way of transforming her mindset and how she spends her time. And so we're working through that journey and helping her figure that out. So that was Tammy. And yesterday was Dina. Wave if you saw Dina on live. Let's get you guys involved. Yeah. Okay. So all of you that caught Dina yesterday, Dina is one of our coaches in our process. So our authors get a chance to work with her after you know what your book is about. And you've got your outline. Then your first stop, you'll meet with Kim, our project manager. So Kim is not here today. Kim's going with me to the book launch party, so I'm sure she's getting ready. And then immediately you go at work, right? And so she's helping you ground your identity, because remember, what we're working on is we don't want to write a book from the past. We want to write a book for where you're headed. So that's one of the major mistakes people make is they write a book from the past, and when their book gets done, it's anchoring them to the brand they've been or the person they've been. And what we're doing here is we're looking forward. We're asking, well, who do you want to show up as? What business do you want to build? Let's write a book for that business, so that your book, you grow into your book. The day it comes out, like you're already established in a next level authority. You've already had time to process and think, and you've gotten support to flesh out your ideas of where you want to take your business. And so that idea of really understanding who you are becoming is really important. And that's why we had Dina talking to us about like your mindset and where are you in smallness thinking and where are you in greatness thinking. So let's see. And then today is day 4 with Amy Carney, and we're going to talk about no excuses, because this woman, like, she's made some seriously incredible life choices that I can't wait for you guys to see. But anybody have any takeaways or anything else they want to share from the journey so far? Victoria.
I could say something. I thought I had to laugh at myself because I was listening to Dina yesterday and I was like, yes, absolutely. Small mindset versus big. Yes, I'm tracking with you. That's what I've been learning, get rid of the lies and replace it with truth and la, la, la. And so I turned off the computer and I was like, yep, absolutely. And I started doing the rest of the day and going to bed, and I was like, wait a second, there's a part of my life where I haven't applied this information, which is writing a book. And I'm on here this whole time going, yes, I want to write a book, but I'll never write a book and it's too much for me and da 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 da. But so it was quite amusing that I was nodding like this the whole time, and then I got smacked in the face with the reality that I've been believing a lie and holding myself limited as well. So and from that, I started realizing that my husband and I have more to do together with his business in the future than I ever really thought out of all of this. So anyway, it's been quite eye-opening. So thank you.
Wow, that is incredible. That's incredible, Victoria. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. And Amy took note, man. I think we'll talk about that. Amy's talking about excuses. All right. Anybody else excited to share? Let you look. All right. All right, let's do this. Let's celebrate Ed Rush. I forgot to do this yesterday. So a lot of you again are here because of Ed Rush. And so let's celebrate the fact that Ed was on the 700 Club yesterday. And I'm so sorry that I missed sharing this yesterday, but this was super fun. You know, I birthed these book with you guys. And so seeing Ed and his book on the 700 Club was really fun. So I just wanted to give Ed a shout out on that because it's really, really cool. Okay, so before we dive in with Amy, I want to talk about the event in Scottsdale. And here's what we're going to do. We have to end it on time today because of Matt's book party that I've got to split and head out to. Tomorrow, if you have questions, we have a guest tomorrow, Jill McMahon, who is going to talk about her book. There went one of them, Bulletproof. So that's Jill tomorrow. And then afterwards, I'm going to stick around for an hour and as long as it takes at least to answer your questions on anything. But what I want to do today really quickly is just talk about the event, the one-page book plan, and help you understand, like, is this right for you? Should you be there? Are you in the right place? And so let's do this. Okay, here's the website. You don't need that, just onepagebookplan.com. I don't know, Kimberly or Nadia, if you could put it in the chat if people want to pull it up so they've got it when they're ready. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to work on your book plan some more. So in this week's challenge, in the main session, we've really been working on just your mindset, right? And expanding and helping you think bigger, because it's so important, your mindset, as you approach all of this. How do we break down your limiting beliefs and start to see the real opportunities with publishing? And then in the VIP sessions, if you joined us on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we went into more of the publishing side in there. You can still go back if you want and get the VIP access. All of those recordings are available and the worksheets that we had from them. But it's all leading up to this, the one-page book plan workshop. So we're doing two versions of it. One of the versions is the live version in Scottsdale, Arizona on September 27th. So that is the one where Ed Rush is going to be there, and all of our speakers, I'm going to scroll down, all the women that you've met this week are going to be there, these lovely women, in person for the live event. And so the way this works is we're going to get together all day on Friday, September 27th at the venue 8600. If you live in or near Scottsdale, I'm sure you know what this is. I've been there. Ed held his event there. So if you went to Ed's event, this also looks familiar to you. You were there last May, I believe is when it was. But we're going to get started right on time at 9 a.m. And we've got a full day. And we're going to go through a process of answering through the whole process 9 decisions to figure out, how do we bring your book idea in alignment with your life goals and your business objectives? So all of that is our objective. So we'll go through and we're going to talk about things like your business offers, other assets you might want to have done, like workbooks or updates to your website or a mini course, anything that you might want or need with your book. Like, we're going to identify all the opportunities, the way you turn your book into an asset for your business. So if you have a business, you definitely need to be here. If you want to launch a business, you need to be here. If you do not want a business, you can come. And so I want to say that you're not in the wrong place. I will just say that it will be heavily business focused, right? So that is what we specialize in. If you go back up to the top, it says how to craft the perfect book for your business. So we are going to be talking about that. So and people say, well, what's a business? You know, if you're ready to spend 15 hours or more a week on coaching clients, serving people, speaking, whatever it looks like, that, you know, the varieties, you've seen the gamut of it this week. Amy will talk about how she runs her life and what she has used her book to do. But it looks different for every person. And but we'll be helping you figure out what it looks like for you, how you might start to price things and pull it all together. So we're gonna have a buffet lunch on site. It's a I want to say like a salad bar or sandwich bar. It's got options. So if you're allergic to gluten or you just eat protein, all the things, it's included. There aren't handy restaurants nearby, and we've got a lot of things to pack into a short day. So we're going to have lunch right there. You're welcome to bring a spouse or an employee for $297. But if you've got somebody that is a bestie that also wants to write a book, then that's a separate individual. You guys both are going to want to get your own tickets so that you get your own goodies, right? We've got the one-page book plan Canvas template you'll get. We're also going to dig into how to organize and outline all of your ideas. So all of the things that you're thinking about putting in your book and like, I don't know what to do with it. How do I get this? We'll talk about how to do that really easily. It's how we teach all of our clients to do that. And if you were in the VIP session, we talked about the idea of a perfect niche book, which is one of the 10 different publishing strategies we use. And I'm going to give you as a bonus the outline for how to do that. I have, up until this year, I've never shared this. I now share it in this workshop. This cost me hundreds of, well, it cost me hours upon hours. I'm not going to say, let's say it's cost me about 60 to 80 hours of studying books and what works, and then thousands of dollars in coaching to understand how do you convert in a book. So this is worth the ticket right here, this perfect niche book outline, if you know you want a book that's going to close people. By the way, the first 4 chapters are applicable to any book that you write, and the last chapter. So everybody that gets that asset ends up using it. So we'll do that. Now here's the deal. We can't get it all in one day. So for that and for the virtual version, let's go down and talk about the virtual version. We're doing a virtual version for those of you that can't get to Scottsdale on the 27th. So we're doing it next week, Thursday and Friday. And several of you are on this group today have already registered for one or the other. And so the virtual version, we're going to cover the same topics. It's just that Ed won't be there and these ladies won't be there. So, but that also means we have more one-on-one time as our small group time to work on your content. So all the reviews you read on this page, all of the reviews from everybody else came from the virtual version. So it's a win-win option for you. Pick the one that serves you best. And we're covering the same agenda either way. So both of these events, though, include a Monday workshop. And on Monday of next week for the virtual one, we're going to get together on Zoom. Same thing for the other one. We're going to get together first, and we're going to talk about a few things that I want you to have done before we get to the actual workshop. The virtual one next week, our welcome party will be on Monday. And then next Thursday and Friday, we'll go from noon to 4 Eastern for the virtual version. And then for the Scottsdale one, it'll be 9 to 5. So let's pause there real quick and just ask if there are anybody have quick questions on that, or any, like, do you find yourself in the right place, or do you have any burning questions that you want to ask? Okay, we're going to keep rolling. Oh, Jim does. Yes, sir. You got to unmute.
Did you say we get to do the one next Monday?
No, if you're coming to the
Either.
Scottsdale one, yeah, it's one or the other.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes, correct. Good question. Thank you. And that's just so that the people in Scottsdale, the people that are on virtually, like we'll be solely focused on them. It's very interactive, more so than it has been here, right? But I will teach on a topic, and then we've got time to just brainstorm and answer questions after every topic. So we're going to answer on the Monday party for both of you. We're going to do the first 3 of the 9 decisions. And then at the workshop itself is where we solve the remaining 6 decisions that we need to make together. So we have plenty of time to do that. Okay. Y'all ready to keep going? Okay. Amy, I'm going to spotlight you, and we're going to bring you up. Spotlight, and then there we go. This, everyone, hold on, I'm coming to, is Amy Carney. Amy, how did we meet?
We met at your live event in Phoenix
That's
with
right.
Dean Patton.
Yeah,
So I,
the original, the first one, that's right. We met there, and then you were the other one that we did as well. So I was looking back. For some reasons, I don't have a photo of just you and me. And I'm like, I've got you and me and Danielle, you and me and Dina, but not, I didn't have a photo this morning of just the two of us. So that's on a must do for today.
do
So
that. Yeah.
yeah. So Amy is the author of Parent on Purpose. We did this book back in 2019, and you're still very actively using it. Talk to us about, like, I just want to roll right into this because people need to get to know you. Let's talk first about your life, because we're talking today about no excuses. When we met, were you just a mom of triplets at that point in 2019, or where were you in your life at that point?
No, we had adopted our fifth. So we had adopted our, I think I had 5 kids at the time.
Okay.
When we first met. So
And you, so you wrote your book, you had 5 kids. Ranges in age at the time were?
oh my gosh. They were in, I think my triplets were in high school, and
Mhm.
our daughter just below them. And then our youngest we adopted from foster care was 10. So I kind of had a lot going on. I think I had middle, high schooler and elementary schoolers trying to write a book. So
Yeah.
I did write a book.
Yeah, you did write a book. Tell them what prompted your book. Like, where did this come from?
So I was a writer before. I was a journalist, and then I, moved on from that to raise the kids. And we had gotten to the point where I had 4 kids at this point, and all I did was race them around. I rushed through every day. Right, motherhood was chaotic as it is for many of us, and it just got to a point. It was one moment. I had my husband was coaching actually for the Chicago Blackhawks, so he was gone all the time. I was racing the kids around the suburban one night. I got to my last son's. It was an honor band concert. I flew into the auditorium, found an empty seat, sat down just as the lights went down. And I was so happy because I had made it, right? I had made it on time. I got everybody where they needed to be. And all of a sudden, tears just streamed down my face. And it caught me off guard because I thought I was doing well. I thought everything was going well. And it was in that moment I knew I was going to have so much guilt and regret and remorse if we did not change how our family was operating and how we were parenting. And then in that moment, I knew we had to make major change, and my husband agreed. He quit his job. We quit everything. We bought an RV, and we went around the entire U.S. And that was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, we were on the road in an RV, not knowing what in the world we were doing, except regrouping. And Parent on Purpose stemmed from that bold choice. So I thought I was going to write it. I started out writing a book about that trip, and it turned into this book.
Yeah. You were professionally blogging at that point, right? Did you blog through your travels? Is that right?
Yeah, I've always been an entrepreneur too. And so I knew we were going to go on this trip. So I was like, all right, I'm going to sell sponsorship for this trip so I can get paid to do it and actually be able to take some breaks, right? Mom's got to go right. And I did. And I sold sponsorship to Campgrounds of America, KOA, and I wrote for them throughout the trip. And then I was being asked to write a book about the trip when we returned. And then when I realized I wanted to write about more than just, amazing places to visit in Vermont and near Mount Rushmore and all the amazing places we saw, I wanted to get to the heart of the trip and why we ended up in an RV traveling around the US and encourage others to not miss the season of raising their kids and to do it with more purpose.
Where did foster parenting come into your life?
Well, we were doing foster care before we left on the trip. I'm a woman of faith, and so the Lord leads me in many directions that I never dreamed of going, and foster care is one of those. So we had closed our license when we went on that trip, and then when we got back, I was saying, you know what, I'm just going to mentor, right? Because I'm busy. I'm very busy. I'm just going to mentor. And through mentoring, we ended up into adoption, which is nowhere we had planned to go. But being on that trip helped us realize we wanted to live out our faith, live for God, and not what necessarily we wanted, but what does He want for our lives and our purpose. And so, after that trip, we adopted a son in 2016, and he was 9 and he's now 17.
And you've adopted another one since, right?
Yes, we adopted hopefully our last. I'm like, Lord, I'm going to stop listening to you here. But in 2021, so 3 years ago, and
Yeah,
he's
I
12.
remember. Yeah, and he's 12. So, and then your other kids are off. I remember when we were working on your book. I mean, this was all, the idea was grown and flown. Talk about what the concept behind the book is, would you please?
Well, the concept is broken into three parts, right? It's lead on purpose, love on purpose, and launch on purpose. So it's basically strengthening us as individuals first so that we can lead our children, lead our family. The second part is all about strengthening our family and the chaotic culture that we live in. How do we do that? And then the third is all about, you know what, we are all raising adults. That's what our, you know, one of our main roles is here, and we forget that. And we're not doing a very good job of that. We can see in society when I interviewed professors and deans and employers, they were saying, you know, parents need to do a better job of not coddling and helicopter parenting and let our kids fail and, you know, and all these things that I write about. And it's true. It's really hard to do as a loving parent, but vital. So those are the three areas that I have the book broken down into, and that my whole work is based on. I believe those are the three main things we need to do: strengthen ourselves, strengthen our family, and strengthen our child for the launch into adulthood. I did just launch my triplets as far as they graduated college in May, and now they've got on to job. So yeah, I'm busier than ever. I don't know. It never ends.
Yeah. Well, I remember one of the things that stuck out about me, you know, back then was just literally how busy you were as a mom of five, right? When we were working through the book. You've always been incredibly intentional about your kids, about your family, about your faith, and your community, and in the ways you serve. And so we can talk about that too. And I just remember being like, I've always been a very involved parent, right? And just learning like, wow, you take things to the next level. Like I learned so much from you on that and then that perspective. And then last time I saw you was November of last year. And most people like they get their kids off to college, and here you had just adopted another 12-year-old, and you said you're walking through a restaurant. Do you remember this? And you said you saw something that just kind of struck you. And it was people your age that were empty nesters, right? Yeah. And you just said that. I'm like, wow, yeah. I mean, because that's where we're entering into the empty nester thing. And you said, here you have adopted a 12-year-old. So, and you're, and you talk about your school board. You want to mention what you did there?
Oh yeah. Well, it's just another extension of living out my values and strengthening families and strengthening kids. And so, yeah, I ran for election in 2022 to run for our local school board. And yeah, I was the top vote getter, and I'm serving on that right now in my spare time, right? But it's just an extension of what I'm already doing. And I feel like that's sometimes we can get caught up in, I don't know, in not living out our values in every aspect of our lives, right? Whether it's in our businesses, in our family, in our community service, it should all tie together. And so that's just another piece of living out my values.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about your book for a little bit more, because there are other things that go with your book and your business. So would just give them an overview of what how you've used the book, what kind of doors it's opened, what kind of ideas spawned out of it. Where did it all go?
Oh my gosh, it has gone so many exciting places, places that I didn't even see it going, which is really, really cool. I'd say my favorite thing is that it launched another book. A publisher had reached out to me to write a mom journal at the beginning of 2020, and it turned out to be what a blessing, because right, everything was shut down, everybody's home, no work, and I had this creative project that I was able to do and accomplish. So that's what, yeah, my 100 questions for mom journal.
Yep, there it is. Okay.
Yep. So that would have never happened, right, without my first book. And it's exciting because that's exactly where I want to head in my business next, is legacy leading, and what does that look like? Not losing everything to the digital world. So that's really exciting. I'm still getting speaking requests constantly. I mean, we're talking, this is 5 years now, and I'm still, talking to moms groups and going to schools and going to churches. And I'm on the MOPS national speaker list for moms of preschoolers. So I have a product line. I have a shop on my website where I'm able to sell, digital resources, physical products. So it's really, really exciting what's come from that book, that I'm so thankful to you, because I would not have probably finished it, because it's hard when you're working alone. You're working, you're a creative working for yourself, and we're good. We can keep working on it, and if nobody notices, we can keep saying, "Oh, we're going to write a book one day. I want to write a book. I can write a book." But if no one's holding you accountable or holding you to some deadlines and saying, people need what you've got to offer, right? And if no one's really doing that for you, then we can just kind of keep letting it, lay on the back burner, because it's so easy to do. It's so much easier, right? To just not even vulnerably put yourself out there too, because it is vulnerable to write your story, put it out there for judgment either way. And I think that holds us back too, is, and that's what's great about you guys and, working with you, because you got me to put out the product that people need and that I wanted to share. But doing it on my own, I mean, it was a two-year journey. I had already been writing the book when I met you, and you helped me finish it off. And it's a product I'm so proud of and love. And I'm getting, the cool thing is I'm getting texts and messages on social media from people who are rereading the book. They're like, I've got juniors in high school, and I read it 4 or 5 years ago, and I'm pulling it back out, and I'm so thankful. And I think that's what we all need to remember, right? It's not necessarily about us. It's our story and our journey that's meant to be shared to serve others. And so when I can remember that, I'm like, well, then we have no choice. We have no choice but to do this work. And it's what a gift, right? To be able to share in this way.
Well said. There was a time when we were planning your book and like, what could the book evolve in? You had talked about like a product line, and I had told you at the time, this was fun. I said, like, there's this really cool planner system that I love, like, and it was Cultivate What Matters. And I was like, what if you had something like this line? And it was probably, and so that was a dream at the point. Like, this was in the planning phases of the book. It was kind of a dream. And it was shortly, I think, after your book came out that you called me, because a friend of a friend had connected you, and you started investigating, and you had walked into an office for a meeting somebody had arranged. And it turned out, in her own town, the publisher of that planner system, it was on the shelf. Do you remember this? And it was like, yeah, it was a fun moment. You're like, there it was. It was a sign of the Cultivate. And I've got it. Mine's right here. So talk about
I actually use them to create my keepsake books, somewhere back here, my You Are Loved keepsake albums, that I still need to figure out how to successfully launch. That's my next thing, but I did it using them. And I think that's a great point that you're talking about, is because God uses relationships, right? He uses, people to move us to the next step forward. A book can be overwhelming. It is overwhelming, but if you just take the next step, right? Like the event in Scottsdale, you just take that next step, or the online event, then that will lead you then to the next step, right? It doesn't have to be overwhelming if we just take that next step, and the Lord will lead us.
Yeah, I just remember the odds of, like, I told you about this neat idea, and then here you are. Apparently they're in Scottsdale, and you walked right into their office, and I think that was just a good God thing. I was on a walk last night after this event, and I was just thinking about life. To your point, it seems to work like a video game, that every time you do something, it unlocks the next opportunity for you. And if you don't take the step, then the opportunity you're seeking doesn't unlock. Like, the secret is just following it. I think Kim said that when I was introducing our team, and I shared originally that I was terrified to hire one employee, and now I've got 5 employees, and Kim said, I think, Nicole, you've just been faithful to do the next thing. And I think that's definitely every author's journey that we've been on, yours included, is just the faithfulness to say, okay, I'm going to do the next thing, not knowing where it's leading. You got to meet a couple of your lifetime mentors on this journey too. You want to talk about that?
As far as who are we talking about?
On Parent, there was a member shortly after your book launch. There was an older gentleman that had been a mentor of yours, and you were so excited because you got to meet him. I don't know if you remember who that was. We're going back 5.5 years now. And I don't remember, did he?
I think he wrote the foreword of my book, right?
That's it. That's who it was. Okay. Yeah. I was going to say Joe White, wasn't it? Or
Oh, no, John Roseman. He was
it was John Roseman. Yes. Thank you. You're
Yeah.
right. It was he.
So I was in the middle of writing my book when I reached out to him and started building a relationship with him. And he ended up writing the foreword of my book for me. And then after my book launched, we started doing events together across the US. So yeah, it's an amazing thing what writing the book can do, and being bold enough to say, hey, I've been watching your work. I resonate with your work. Look at my work. What do you think? And once again, you just don't know where that can take you. It's just being courageous enough, I think, to put yourself out there, and then let the Lord lead it, because it's not all up to us. Like you said, I think it's huge to remember, just take that next step. Just take the next step. And then, like you said, you won't know till you do that, what comes after that, or who you're going to meet that's going to help you along the journey. And so, yeah.
How do you address that with your kids when you see kids or anyone making excuses like, and Dina's phrasing was it when we get into our smallness, right? How do you address that? How do you help people through that?
Well, it's funny. I speak about excuses on no matter what stage I'm at or what hat I'm wearing, especially with the foster care adoption. It's the same thing. I hear a lot of excuses of why people don't do it or why they can't do it, or yeah, it's the same thing in that realm of life as in writing the book or in business. But excuses will always stop us from doing what's important, because it's hard, right? These things are hard, and so our excuses are a way to stop us from doing that. But I just excuses are limiting us, and we've got to get honest about that. I mean, we're all busy. We all don't necessarily have the money. We all, you know what I mean? We always have excuses. Every one of us. They might be different, but we got to get realistic that we can push through. We can push through those, and we must push through those. I mean, we can let it limit today, but we cannot let that stop us from God's calling and the purpose of our lives. So yeah, I'm not big on excuses, and I'll call you out. I'll call you out, and people want to be, because they want more for themselves, right? I want more for myself. So I like when you hold me accountable, and my editor and things, because I remember one point I was like, I'm just going to go work at Starbucks. I mean, that would just be much easier than what I'm doing right now. And we can do that. We can get to that place where, like, you know what, forget all this. This is too much. But then tomorrow's a new day, and we can push through our excuses, because they will stop us from doing hard but important things.
Yeah. Talk about, so one of the things we're going to do with the one-page book plan workshop is talk about your offers and products and services and business models. Can you talk about, from your perspective, what are all the ways that you make money from your book, right? And you've got the publishing deal offers, right? So yeah, so let's start with that. You were approached by a publisher to do that book, which is
well,
incredible.
they paid me the upfront, right? So this is a good example of when you go traditional publishing, you don't make anything once they pay you up front. I don't make anything off that. I mean, I do own my own copies, and I can sell those. So that's one great thing. I can sell at my speaking events. I sell at local stores. So I can make money off of that, but I make so much more money off of, my Parent on Purpose book. One thing to remember too is, when you sell on Amazon or any of the online outlets, I'm constantly money is just coming into my bank account. And I don't really have to do much for that. And that's constant, even during COVID, right? I was so thankful, because money was still coming in through those Amazon sales. As much as I'm big on shop local, I'm a big support and shop local girl. That is an aspect to this that is lucrative. And you can do with that what you want as well. The speaking is huge. It's funny, because I think I still am nervous to public speak, and I've been doing it for a long time now. That's one thing people need to know. Once you write a book, you will be asked to speak. You will be asked to speak on small to bigger stages. But that right there is where the money is. I mean, even if you don't get paid for that speaking engagement, you can sell your books at the back of the room. It's huge. And like I said, I have a digital product line. The sky's the limit what you want to do with your book message and how you want to make money. I promote it in a lot of local stores. I'll go and do events with our local kids store. I have furniture stores that sell it, churches sell it. So it's super fun. I love that I own my book and I can do whatever I want to do with it.
Yep. And just, I think, we talked about this in maybe early in the week, but so everyone knows, we're a publishing services agency. So all of our authors, like Amy, and what she's referring to is all of our authors own their own Amazon. They own all their own retail accounts. She buys direct from the printer at the same price I do. Like she does it. I don't make a penny off of her book sales. I think that's really important in today's market, for business owners specifically too. Like if Amy wants to run Amazon ads to her book, she can. If she had a publisher deal, they would own the print rights to her book. They would own her Amazon account, and then you profitably can't run Amazon ads. You'll lose money on Amazon ads if you do that. So that's why we do it. Ed Rush did a webinar. A lot of you were on it last week, where he talked about at this point, he would not take a publisher offer, like to buy his book and take over the rights of his book and his print book. And there are publishers that are asking for it. And he says no. And in fact, he says, if somebody handed me a $10,000 check, he said, well, I might ponder it. Or not, sorry, a $10 million check. Yes, sorry, not $10,000. A $10 million check. He said, well, I might ponder it. But he said, right now, I have no interest in a publisher. They can't have my book. Right. So owning your own rights is
too much fun. It's too much fun too, to own your own book. I mean, as far as, like you said, we don't have to run our business by anybody except ourselves. Right. And so I've loved it. And I actually was already doing some speaking before the book was written. It was one of the reasons I wrote the book, because I was doing some speaking and then I didn't have anything to sell in the back of the room. So it was like, okay, I'm losing out on money here. And so it's been so lucrative for my business. It's changed everything, and I'm really proud of it. And I can't wait. I'm super excited to write the next one. I've already been working on it a little, so I don't want to tell you that because now you're going to hold me accountable to getting that done. But
hey, you're going to be there. You're going to work on it with us on the 27th. Yeah, you're going to be there.
Yeah, I got super excited reading through all that. So
fun. And you're also a paid ghostwriter now, or not ghostwriter, like, well, you do ghostwrite. Yeah. So yeah. There's all kinds of unique, every author has a different journey and different ways to earn income. You have digital products that you sell. You want to tell them what that is and what your memory products are?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I have digital products that go along kind of with my book. So I've got I've got a workbook right now that it's called the Roadmap to Parent on Purpose. And it's just walks people through more in depth some of the things I talk about in the book. That's one of my top printables. What else do I have? Oh, I always do different seasonal, summer of significance, printables that families can print out right now and work through that season. My whole goal is to help people realize that this season will end, right? I know, many of you know it ends. And so we want to capture, that now and not have regrets later. I'm big on this doesn't take a lot. I mean, I'm a busy mom. So we can be intentional with small amounts of time, right? And things we do in our families. It's not like we have to give up our lives and invest everything we have into parenthood, but we do need to make some intentional choices. And I love helping people figure that out, how to live out their values and help walk them through that. So yeah, I do have, like I said, I have a shop on my website, which houses digital products, and it houses my legacy books. I'm going to be transitioning my brand of business. I'm in the middle of that right now, more to legacy leaving now that my kids are getting older.
Yeah.
And I'm going to move in that direction.
There's a hint to the next book. So yeah. Is it Amy, or is it parentonpurpose.com? Is that right?
It is, but amycarney.com, parentonpurpose.com, go to the same place.
If any of you are curious, we haven't done this, but I forgot. There we go. amycarney.com. I just dropped it in the chat. All right, let's do this. Let's just open it up for Q&A at this point. We're going to go back to gallery view. And everybody wants to. Takeaways. Marilyn's already, man, she's ready to roll.
My question actually, Amy, you're wonderful and absolutely insightful. So thank you. My question has actually been lingering since yesterday. And I don't know if this is the appropriate time. You could tell me if this is a good time to ask this question. So I have somebody that out part of the God Talks community, so we're all connected in the same thing, that suggested writing a book with me. When do you make a decision on co-writing or ghostwriting, as you kind of mentioned, Amy? So prior to this week, Nicole, I would have never thought about writing a book. Going through this week, I'm like, wow, I am so equipped to write a book. So my initial thought of this lady reaching out to me to co-write some of my thoughts into a book seemed very appealing. Now I get through this point and I'm like, I don't know if it seems appealing. Can you guys give me advice on that?
I'm gonna let Amy speak first on that. Amy?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, okay. I would say write your own book first, right? So you have that the journey, and then I would consider writing one with someone. Now that I'm, like I said, I'm ghostwriting. I'm actually writing my first book for someone else right now, alongside them, and more of a memoir to hand down to their family and support their business. But I that's where I'm coming from. I would say write your book, write your message first, and then consider teaming with someone after.
Yeah. I mean, there's definite advantages to it, but there are a lot of heavy disadvantages. One of the first 3 books that we did, the 2 women collaborated on. This was we're going back to 2011, and it was a brilliant marketing strategy. Like it was so perfect. And as soon as we got the book out, the 2 women decided they didn't want to work together anymore. The one of the women decided that she wanted to basically not aggressively grow the business like the other woman had planned. And the book was a partnership. And so the whole book became.
That's exactly why you've been talking about growing into your book in the future. And I can tell in just the last month of kind of meeting with her, I am like a rocket ship and she has great, great things to offer. But I'm like, wow, if I team up with somebody, am I going to grow out of that? And that's everything you're telling us not to grow out of. So,
Yeah. It's also complicated purely on logistics because it has to go under one person's Amazon account. So the other person is going to own it. We have another group of 4 people that collaborated on a book because they were all partners to a business venture. And then one of the people left, and now the whole thing has gotten really messy. And I'm like, yeah, you have to sort it out. Like, right. So my personal thing, I agree with Amy, write your book. Now there are other ways you can bring them in. So it is, as Amy had, a forward, right? There's strategic reasons to ask people to write the forward of your book. And so that they're listed as a co-author in Eyes of Amazon, but we generally only recommend having a forward by someone who already has a book on Amazon and who's already well known. Because the advantage then is when people are searching their book, they'll find your book. So that's one of the advantages to a forward. But if they're not bringing something significant to the party, then you're better off owning everything about your book, in my opinion.
cool. Thank you. Very clear.
Depth Park, any other ideas or question? Annie has one. Go for it, Annie.
Amy, you blazed through this little comment, but I know there's some power in it. You said that there's a way to structure your time so that you can take little sound bites of time, but get a lot done. And I was wondering if you could just give an example of how you maybe you structure like a 3-hour block to get things, or even 2 hours, but just give an example of what that looks like, please.
Yeah, so I do have to set up my week like that because, like I said, being so busy in different areas, that's exactly what I do is time block. My everyone knows my Mondays are my writing day, and I schedule it. Like I tell people, I'm not gonna even have my phone in my office, so don't text me. I mean, you better, if it's an emergency, you better show up, knock on my door, because I have to do that, or I'll be so distracted. I work from home, like a lot of us. And so I can be super distracted and not get done near what I wanted to if I don't set those parameters for myself. And so I think, that your writing block has to be whatever works in your schedule. If it's, a few hours in the morning or a few hours in the evening, whatever that is, you've got to schedule it. It's scheduled on my calendar. And otherwise I know I will never get it done. I won't get it done. And then some days it goes awry, right? It's just life. And so you just get back on track tomorrow. And the main thing is getting the phone, I think, away and getting the notifications off, so that you can actually commit to the work that you are called to put out into the world. So.
Man, Tammy has Tuesday, Amy has Monday. You gotta claim a day. All right, Nadia and Kimberly, you heard that on my team.
Yeah, I
claiming
call
a
it
day.
Make It Matter Monday. That's just my thing. It's Make It Matter Monday. And what am I going to do on Mondays to make it matter in every aspect of my life?
Nice. Annie, that was a great question. And thank you, Amy, for sharing that. Other questions or takeaways?
I had a question, another one about, for Amy, do you do live, or Nicole's might be you, like what you're doing right now with us, but do you have like a setup for the sound? Ed talks about that, having like a special microphone and those type of things. Yeah, there we go. And
Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple setup, but yeah, I have a Yeti microphone. I've got the invisible headphones that you can't really see that are stringing down the back of my neck here. Yep. So I've got it. And then I've got a stand that my computer's on. So it's a very simple, with the lights, because I do video. I have a YouTube channel that I rarely get to, but I do interviews. I do a lot of podcast interviews, which is a whole nother thing that you'll be doing when you write a book. You'll be asked to be on all types of, podcasting or media if you want to do that. So you will need to invest in, a few simple items, but it's very, very affordable things, very easy. I mean, I'm sitting here in a guest bedroom on an old kitchen table.
With a beautifully staged bookshelf behind you, right? So we saw that with Dina. We saw that also with Tammy Fellows, right? So yeah, as you start to move into that professional role, Ed talked about that from stage, actually, right? Get your backdrop set up. So yeah, good questions. More
Yeah,
questions?
I just hauled the plant in from the living room area, and so you just get it done. You just do your best with what you have to work with.
it's like the COVID version of like wearing your sweat bottoms with your nice jacket or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm wearing slippers right now, right? At least I've got a dress on, but yeah, it's fun, right? You got to make it fun and be yourself, and put your most professional self forward, but be authentic to who you are.
When you wrote your book, afterwards, what was your distribution for visibility? Like, how did people know you existed after you wrote your book?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I had already had a pretty good email list going from work that I'd already been doing. Social media, my social media following still is only 3,000-ish people. It's really hard to grow, right? So most of the time it's getting other people to put out your work, right? To put people, have people promoting you, and having other people that have bigger followings or bigger platforms pushing you out there as well. Building relationships at conferences. That's what I love about niche, is because it's a community too. Like I have most of those women who have been speaking this week, I have their books, so when they have their book launch, we support them. We buy it, I buy their books. We help promote each other. We get on, monthly calls if we want to. That I think that's huge too. Because most of us start out with no following or no community. So you just slowly build it. And you got to ask people too to help promote you, help promote your work, because otherwise we needed to get to the people who need it. So you got to be able to not be afraid to ask people. And most people are so generous anyway that they will just be so proud of you and automatically want to help you. That's what I've found.
And then one more from me, and then I'll just so when in the process did you find a website maybe was necessary, Calendly, I don't know how to say that thing, just the calendar links that people can do, like when did you anyway, was it organic? Did you start with it? Because I want to do coaching, and I want to be able to set up where people can book time with me, but I'm just not sure on my timeline when to get that set up.
Yeah, well, I think you start today, you start tomorrow. I mean, it's just taking that next step, right? Next step. when on your calendar are you going to put that down that you're going to go and buy the domain? Do you own the domain yet? Hopefully you own your name. Everyone needs to own their name. So that's the easiest way for people to find you. If you haven't done that, you got to do that today. It's not very expensive. Maybe if you have Bob Smith, that might be hard to get, but hopefully you can buy your name and then slowly start, getting one landing page up. And then, then you just keep expanding it. That mine was very simple. And then it has just keep expanding. When I was able to make more money, off of my book, then I was able to invest more in my website. And so, yeah, I think you just have to take little steps. So if you're going to want a website, buy the domains and then start figuring out who can help you build that website and then invest a little bit along the way. And that way, when your book it does come out, you're not trying to do all of these things at once. You already want to have, these little pieces in place because you're going to need them. A website is essential, even if it's just a landing page. That's how people will find you. I sell my books right on my website too. I sell signed copies, which is another thing you got to remember too. Once you start doing this, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to go to the post office again tomorrow. Like that's not something I really thought about when I was making hard products. So, or you can just send people to Amazon to do it, whatever. But a website's essential, I think. If and getting the word out and selling your products.
Listen, people love this advice. Annie, those are great questions. Everybody's cheering you on. You got anybody else have questions, or they all want Amy to ask or Annie to ask more? You got it. I've got about 4 minutes before I have to go. So we're gonna go celebrate. If you missed the beginning, we're gonna go celebrate one of our authors, Matt Dickerson, who is having a book launch party tonight for his book. And so our team is going to head down there. Kim is here. She doesn't have her camera on. Fun fact, Kim was a brand new hire and her first book that she launched was Amy Carney's. And a lesson that we learned, Amy, was it your book that we launched on New Year's Day and we learned not to do that again? Yeah. There's Kim. Yeah. We launched it on New Year's Day and found out that on New Year's Eve, there aren't a lot of people helping at Amazon if things aren't going right. So
that was my first book. It was super awesome. I'm still a little sorry, Amy. I take better care of you now.
Oh my gosh. It all works out. It all works out. So.
That was funny. All right, y'all. Seriously, everybody was at New Year's Eve parties and we were all calling each other trying to figure out because Amazon had a glitch. There are things outside of your control and that's how it works. But yeah, you have to remember this is not this is a marathon, not a sprint. But okay. And search on GoDaddy. Okay, for everything. Nadia dropped the link again for the one-page book plan. We're going to be back tomorrow. And I'm going to stick around. If you have specific questions, I'm happy to stick around after tomorrow. But we've got Jill McMahon is joining us. Her book title is Bulletproof. We're going to talk about how she's pursuing her passion. Again, she's also eligible and could be in retirement. She had sold her practice as a counselor and decided that there was something important that she still wanted to do, a message that she still wanted to share. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about how she's dodging the political side of what people might want to turn it into, because that is not what her message is about. So I hope you come and hang out with us and Jill tomorrow will be great. Amy, thank you so much. There you are. There you are. So thank you for joining us today. Everybody, I think, agrees. Really great shares. I learned a lot. So thank you. All right. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Thank you. And hopefully you guys get to see and meet Amy in Scottsdale. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.
Awesome. Thank you.